Well, as the founder of Odyssey, and you look back through all these decades and years with your teams, what factors do you think contribute to that longevity?
Well, I mean, from the very beginning, we didn't want a heavily controlled environment where every activity was controlled by measurable metrics. We give the sales staff the freedom to go after clients that they want, and with no territories. And one of the things about that, one of the companies that we worked for before, we had 10 territories, and each sales rep had 4 to 5 different states. And for an example, if you focus on a city like Memphis, Tennessee, and you tried to get into that account, you would try every avenue, every relationship, and sometimes you just did not move in. So you'd move on, and it's human nature not to go back to that account. At Odyssey, we do not have territories. It allows anybody to come along, and maybe it's somebody that they placed at another account years ago, and they just got a position there. And so it gives that opportunity for that foot in the door, and then you have a new account, and it's born. And so as far as the recruiters, they have the freedom to work in any area and wherever they would want to focus on relationships that they're passionate about. And when you give people that ownership, it gives them, they treat it like it's their own business.
Yeah.
Instead
Entrepreneurial.
Of a job.
Well, Ben, you've been with the company, how many years have you been with the company?
September 8th will be 25 years.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why do you stay at Odyssey?
Because it's been a career. Jon is an amazing CEO. Todd is a great CIO. I trust them. They trust me. And so they've given me a platform to do what I want to do, and they've always trusted me to do the right thing. And so I feel like it's my own business. I mean, we all have, Ben's LLC underneath Odyssey, and we all can grow it as much or little as you want, but there's great opportunities. It's just a good platform. And so I've always enjoyed working at Odyssey. That'll be my last employer-employee relationship.
Yeah.
Because I just trust him, and he trusts me, and just the organization. And so I like the coworkers that I work with. I've reinvigorated my career doing the managed services part of it because, I've done the other for so long. It was a breath of fresh air, and it's just a great environment to work in.
I love that. Kristin, how many years have you been with Odyssey, and why do you stay?
Yeah, I've been with Odyssey, I think, almost 18 years now. But yeah, really just mimic exactly what Ben said. And that's what I tell people is that, this is essentially like your own business. That's how Jon and Todd want us to treat it, is because essentially that level of ownership is going to make us care, is going to make us kind of, really pour into that and give it everything we can. And so, again, yeah, it's just trust. Like everybody I work with, okay, I guess.
You can have a beer together, right?
She was looking at me hard.
Like, I don't know, but no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's great to continue to work with these people, continue to grow with them. And so, yeah, that's why I stay.
For sure, yeah. Jon, when you hear these responses of your team, how does that feel? Like this is part of the legacy you've built.
Well, I'm so appreciative. And again, I do feel like they built careers, not just roles. And that's really the basis of the longevity.
Yeah, love it. I want to dive even deeper into managed services. One of the things that I was scoping through your website, and one of the things you guys talk about is this team-based delivery. What does that mean? Can you kind of walk us through maybe in a case study or a description of what that is?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, we, because of the history and longevity, we are supporting multiple clients.
Yeah.
We historically have started out with an individual consultant, and they do a good job. And so there's rapport built and trust. We try to find people that when we work with an individual consultant, someone that has eyes and ears, that looks at the environment, looks for opportunities, and then comes back to us and says, hey, these are some things that I'm seeing. And so when they do that, then we'll get more involved from a managed services perspective and say, okay, have you thought about these areas? How are you identifying this? What keeps you up at night? What risks are out there? And then you start just continuing to talk. It's a very long sales cycle. But ultimately, it will go into multiple, either additional, very specific technical consultants. But a lot of times, technical consultants don't like to do documentation. So we'll say, hey, we'll include a BA to help document your environment. And that's huge right now. Clients don't have, in my opinion, what I've seen, much documentation to really show if someone left that was a strong person over a specific application, it's not documented. So we'll put a BA in, then we'll put a project manager or delivery manager in to push projects to say, okay, we can manage this for you. You guys are busy. Let us help you with that. And before you know it, we'll have a collection of 5 or 6 or 10 people supporting areas. And then the other groups see, hey, they're doing well. Why is that happening? And so that's kind of how we typically will do that. And so, a case study that you're talking about, we have multiple, but one specific that I'm near and dear to is a large retail pharmacy organization that we support. And we started out as like I mentioned, an individual consultant about 10 or 11 years ago. And they were asking for a server migration that was on a niche platform. So we put in 6 or 7 people really quickly, and they finished it within 8 or 9 months, which was great. The client was very happy with us, and that put our name on the radar for them. Yeah. So for the next 4 or 5 years, they would say, hey, we need to do this. There's a certain technology thing that we needed to be done. And so they would bring us on, and we were not a primary vendor. It's a large enterprise, Fortune 10 company. And so 5 years go by, we're doing small things, and then they came to us that we're doing another major shift. We want to work directly with you. And so that kind of was a catalyst. We really got in, and we have 2 network operation centers for them. We have systems management people working, supporting the environment, application support, compliance, database, you name it. We're supporting them, and they keep asking, can you support this other legacy platform? Can you do this new modernization effort? So it's been great to kind of see it change. And we've done that at 2 or 3 different accounts.
You can really see the trust that you guys are building, though, right? Because then it's like you proved yourself in this smaller project, then it gets bigger and longer, and then...
It's the people. Yeah. Again, we have a really solid team on our managed services group. I trust them. I would love to name drop, and I made Donna and Eugene and Steve and Robbie. There's so many. They're great, and I enjoy working with them, and I trust them wholeheartedly. And so they are such a great team to work with.
For sure. Thank you. Kristin, from your perspective, right? These candidates out there, obviously some of them have been ghosted, some of them have had bad relationships with recruiters, and trust is hard to build, right? Over time. How do you build trust with your candidates and have those long relationships that you do with them?
Yeah, I think, it kind of speaks to what you were saying about our team, right? It's integrity. Do what you say you're going to do, right? That's essentially what it comes down to at the end of the day. And that's how I've always lived as a recruiter. That's how I've always been. If I'm talking to someone and I say, I'll follow up with you before the end of the week, then I'm not going to leave on Friday until I send that person an email, even if it says, hey, I don't know anything yet, but I just wanted to check in before the weekend. Right. Now, that kind of communication means so much to somebody that's job searching, that's feeling vulnerable, and that's what I would want to receive. So I think that, from what I've been told, that kind of level of communication, that high integrity is why people continue to kind of come back to me, come back to us. I've got tons of stories where I've met someone and then maybe I don't place them until, 10 years later. That's happened multiple times. I have a card on my bulletin board at work. So I worked with this VMware engineer for probably 7 or 8 years on and off, just sending him on interviews, nothing really stuck. And then we finally placed him somewhere after about 8 years. And on his first day, he sent me flowers with a card that said, thanks for sticking with me. And, that meant more to me than any placement transaction or anything like that. So I think that's what it comes down to is just, we're honest. We're going to tell you how it is. If you're out, no longer in consideration, we're going to tell you. And so again, those things and just ultimately caring about the long-term success of somebody versus a transaction is I think why people keep coming back. One
thing you said really sticks with me because it's that end of the week Friday update, right?
Yes.
Even if we say, I don't have an update.
I don't have an update. Mm-hmm.
Is an update.
Yes, it is. And it's like that little email. So many times people are like, thank you so much, because they're not hearing back on so many things. And it's like, at least it gives you something, like my efforts are being recognized. So again, if you're in a role that's like that, I highly encourage you to just keep that communication, at a high level.
When you see these kind of interactions, Jon, like, to you, why does trust and loyalty still matter so much in this kind of technical AI efficiency-driven world we're in right now?
Well, I don't think anybody can run a business without trust. And obviously, with the AI technology, you can look at resumes, you can look at tech skills, you can have AI even stimulate a conversation, but nothing replaces the people.
Ben, from the client perspective, any tips or advice for building those long-term relationships with clients and companies?
Well, since we're talking about AI so much, I would say clearly that's going to be something that is going to continue to be adopted. I would encourage the employees to learn how to use it, how to make their job better and make the case for them not to be replaced. Shift, adapt, and embrace it. And for the employers, I would say hold on to those employees that do that. Don't make them go out the door, because they're the ones that got you there in the first place.
Yes.
I would encourage them to create new roles. You're not going to go have a beer, as we talked about earlier, with an AI. You're just going to be with the people that you hang out with, that help you grow the business, that you build relationships with you for years. The second piece of advice I would say is let's say I'm seasoned in this business, is legacy support for these customers is a problem. It is that workforce is going to be gone if they don't start encouraging heavy documentation of their environment, if they don't start encourage training for new people coming in to support it, and then until those trained people get up to speed, encourage, give incentives, give creative ideas to cross-skill people to be able to support a newer thing, and then the older legacy that's keeping the business running. That's what I would say that I would encourage customers to think about.
Yeah. You bring up such a good point, because like documentation, standard operating procedures, they can't even get to new processes or AI if they don't even have a full understanding of the existing process.
That's exactly right.
And then they can look at where the inefficiencies are, and then, okay, now let's look at the new process or a new way of doing things.
I would say 75% of the customers that I've supported over the years are still heavily on Excel.
Wow,
and run a lot of their environments.
75%.
I mean, just there's some. I mean, to a degree, there's so many that are like, yeah, I've got this Excel spreadsheet that supports this, and I'm like, okay, put that in a SQL database, or something, But it's amazing.
Yeah.
In large companies.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. Kristin, I mean, speaking of this AI world we're in, right? You hinted at it earlier as well, but this need for personalization, right? To see the person, to be visible.
Yes.
Can you expand on that further?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of talk in the recruiting world about AI. And is it going to replace our job and sourcing and this and that? And I do think that, yes, it is coming for sourcing, for the act of actually finding those people, those resumes. But where I think it's going to take a while to catch up is the engagement, is the relationship. Yeah, you can find that resume, but can you get that person to respond? Can you get that person to be interested? So that's the main thing. I've started to see all this push too with AI messaging, and a lot of our bigger, I won't name drop, companies that we use for recruiting solutions are saying, use our tools. And, I haven't been impressed so far. Obviously, I'm sure people will tell me it can learn over time, but it just still screams AI. It doesn't scream me. And if it's doing this for me, I'm starting to see the same messages. It's like, I think ChatGPT created, like some flyers. I'm seeing these flyers everywhere now. So it's like, to me, it doesn't say what business is that. It's, ChatGPT made that, So you just have to be different, and I think be yourself, be human. messaging wise, I remember one of like the best, I think, response rates I ever got was a while ago. It was probably 10 years ago, but it was for a really high profile role, like a VP level position, you know, here in Dallas. So it had been open for about 6 months. People knew about it, you know, people knew about the job. So I kind of leaned into that and I titled it, I bet you $1 million. You already know about this, ... And, you know, I got instant responses from C-level people that were just like, you know, I have heard about it, yes, but they took the time to respond because they knew it was a human. You know, if I had just sent some canned message, I would not have gotten that level of response back. So again, I think just be a person when you're sending a message. I think that's key right now. And I'm safe from AI, at least for a little while.
You can always tell, right? Like
Yeah.
we get those in messages,
Yes.
direct messages in LinkedIn. We know it's a copy and paste.
Yes.
Even if like a name here is changed or a word is there, it just doesn't feel authentic.
Right.
And so we can feel when someone has personalized it.